This week, we are going to make a valve assembly. We use valves to control the fluids. In our example, we use metal-to-metal contact in order to prevent the fluid flow. And we use this metal-to-metal contact between the body part and the number 6 of the color. A valve is used in a fluid line to control the fluid flow. In the fluid open position, the valves get lifted by 5 mm from the seat to allow the fluid from the left to right in our example. Figure shows the detail of the screw-down valve. We have a part list on the right side. During our modeling, we are not going to make the parts which are highlighted with the blue box. The sleeve number 5 is mounted on the stem 8 by the screw 9. Valve seat 11 is attached to the collar with number 6. With the screw 12 and the collar 6 is screwed on the sleeve number 5. We are going to just complete the valve assembly. Screw sleeve number 10 is located in the bonnet number. This assembly group is screwed on the valve body number 1. Gland number 4 is located in the bonnet group with the stem number 8 and with packing number 7 seen in this figure. But we do not model this packing group. This packing group prevents the leakage of the fluid from the valve. Gland is secured by the cap nut number 3. Hand wheel 13 is mounted on the stem using the nut 14. During the operation of the hand wheel, the screw number 9 lifts the valve, opens the fluid passage, or screws down the valve to stop the flow from one side to another. The stem number 8 is called actuating screw. We will start our work with part modeling first. After part modeling, we will continue to assembly modeling. And finally, we will create the technical drawing of the part assemblies and the parts. We also create exploded view and create an animation movie about the valve working. After the assembly modeling, we will check our part interference. I will also show you how to give geometrical tolerances in the drawing files. In an assembly, most of the parts are made up of cast iron or brass parts. We use rubber sealings for leakage prevention. We will also assign materials and color for our parts. Let's start with the part modeling. In our part modeling, we will just create 10 parts for this valve assembly. The most complex part in this assembly is the valve body. As you see, I have just separated our parts draft view into pieces. You can also see this page in your submission. Let's start with the valve body here. As you see, we have 3 views at this point. Let's call this view. I will just show you this view as a front. I will assume this view as a front view. And this is the left view, which I have seen here. Also, the top view, which I have seen at this point. I'll just take these doodling backside. As you see, we have the hexagonal parts extrusions at these ends. I will just start first with these extrusions at these ends. After this one, I will just create a body part by using some measures or some path tools with the loft tool. Also, I will just remove material by having the revolve tool and add the inside feature here, which I'm going to use this body part by having the extrusion with two commands. And I will just remove this section. I will just do it much more in content. Here, I will just remove this portion with the revolve tool. Okay, let's start with the part modeling. I open a new file. From the metric template, I use the standard millimetric IPT with double click or the create button on the bottom side. The first thing in the part modeling, which I have frequently uses to open the origin point and XY plane to see where I am just modeling on. For this reason, I will just open and go to origin folder at this point and make this center point visible and XY plane visible. As in the technical drawing, let me open this way. I choose this point as origin for myself. For example, I would like to just make the modeling around this point here. The first thing what I'm going to do is I will just model especially this part, this body part, by the loft tool. Then I will just add the hexagonal ends at this point, these points. Also, we have some typos here. As you see, we have a hexagonal packet at this point, and it is just tangent to these 35 millimeter diameter here. We cannot get this dimension. I will just take my other side, building back. I'll just make the body part, but I'm going to use a loft tool. What is a loft tool? A loft tool is just add the hexagonal ends at this point, these points. Also, we have some typos here. As you see, we have a hexagonal packet at this point, and it is just tangent to these 35 millimeter diameter here. We cannot get this dimension. I will just take my other side, building back. I'll just make the body part, but I'm going to use a loft tool. What is a loft tool? A loft tool is we have 4 basic commands in the inventor, and these are extrude, revolve, sweep, and loft. These we just create the parts according to our needs. These are the main tools for solid modeling, and we also have other tools, but we frequently use these 2 commands, the extrusion and revolve, and sometimes we use the loft tool. The loft tool, we use this point. In our example, we'll have, if we have different sections, like here, we have a section which is a circle here. We also have another section, and we have an enlarged section, which is a bigger circle at this point. We will just create these sections, and we cannot do this profile by using the extrude tools or revolve tools. For this is a special command, and we would like to have 3 different sections at these points, which is the first one. I will just create the second one and the third one. For these, I'm going to use the dimensions at these points. We may have some points to be corrected, but I'm going to do those while I am modeling. I will take my mouse back in the paint. Let's start the model. The first thing, I need to sketch the axis line on the origin. I will just create two lines. I'm just going to make these lines for construction purposes. I would like to only just mark where I am. For this reason, I will just take the midpoints and stick to the origin point, which you can also use from this point. Also, for sketches for different parts, I would like to create a dimensional constraint, which are these points. I would like to create the sketches, which is around, let me open. I would like to create two circles far from the origin side. This is our origin point, and I would like to create two circles, which are their dimensions are 80 minus 13 millimeter, 40 minus 13 millimeter, far from this point, which is 27. I'm sorry. Also, for the other side, we would like to have another 27 millimeter far from this point. And I would like to just create two planes far from the origin point. Let me correct this one and have this point. If you have these points, and if you will do not change the dimensions, for example, but you have to just express some dimensions in the technical drawing. For this reason, you have to create some figures, something like this, in order to get these dimensional relationships in the technical drawing, during the technical drawing creation. For this reason, I will just create this one. Also, I will just go back to 13 millimeters, which I'm just going to create at this point. For this, to get that point, I will just trim this and get this point, and I will just create a plane on that point by using a plane passing at this point. Here we have the origin points, the origin planes. As you see, if we use YZ plane parallel to this point, I can just create a new plane to sketch on our circles on the ends. I'm just going to finish my sketch, but before finishing my sketch, I would like to just create another sketch on the other side because I need three profiles to complete the loft command. For this reason, I will use the mirror command, select the line on the other side. I will use the mirror line and I will select this mirror line, apply and down to create the other plane on the other side. Let me finish this sketch. Change my orientation view from the box on the right side. Again, I will just create a plane. But before this, I'm just going to search. I need a plane far from this point, which is parallel to this plane. For this reason, I will just open the three planes because I'm going to use the three planes in this example. It's a little bit complex part here. Let me just create a new working plane by using the parallel plane through point. I will use a parallel plane, which is YZ, and through point, which I have just recently created. Get the command, get the plane, parallel plane, and I need a point at this point. Let me have the point first, then a plane. I'm going to first sketch my 35mm circle on this plane. And I will use the origin point and give its dimension 35. Finish my sketch. And I will use the origin point and give its dimension 35. Finish my sketch. For other side, I will do the same thing. Again, create a new plane by using a parallel plane. First, get the point which I have created on the other side of this axis and choose the plane here. Again, I'm going to start a new sketch on this plane, or I can just use the same geometry by projection on the other plane. Let me show you what I'm doing. I will just get the projection on the other plane. Have the project geometry, select this geometry, and I will just create another circle on the other plane. Let me finish this one. These are two planes. Also, we need actually another circle at this point, which is this one. I'm not interested in this one because it is just kept in this envelope. For this reason, if I combine these two items to each other, I will just remove. This is the second one, which I have. The third profile I would like to keep. Also, I would like to keep other pathways. The first circle starts from here. The second circle ends at this point. And circles, we have another circle, which is this one. As you see, we have a 55mm circular diameter at this point, but our dimension here is 25. It's an error in this figure. For this reason, I will just omit this one and I will just keep this circle again at the midpoint somewhere here, and I would like to make this pass from this point and this pass from this point by using these points. I will use 2 points to make this circle around this one. Also, I have to just change this dimension as well, because if I have a 55mm with a radius at this point, I cannot pass through this point because I need to just go around this one. Let's forget about this, and I will just create this curvature, this curve, by using some other tools. Okay, let me clear the lines to tell you better. Okay, I will just create a new pathways. The first thing, what I need is, for the loft process, I need the pathways between these two. The first thing, what I'm going to do is, I will just create on XZ plane by starting a new sketch to have the 55mm between the circle one, this circle, and this circle. Let's start this example. Again, I will just change my view. I will first create the line, and for starting points the tangent lines from these, I will just get the geometry projection with this circle, but I'm not going to use this line. I need only this starting point. I will change these to construction. Again, for projection for the other circle, again I need the starting point of that line. Again I need this. I will just convert this into construction. Then I will just give its dimension because it's in the midpoint and it is 55. I will create two lines. Start by using this point and just create an arbitrary line like this. Also for the other part, again a line, arbitrary line, and make these lines, I'm going to make tangent to each other, and trim the unnecessary parts which I'm not going to use. You see, I will just trim. We will have, at the end of this, we will have shape something like this. I'm just going to make the first sketch invisible to keep the sketch simple. I also need another pathway on the other side here. For this, I finish the sketch again, start a new sketch again on the XZ plane, and make the copy of it. I will do the same things on the other side. I have the projection. I also have the projection. Before these, I will just convert this construction. Again, I will just create a new circle. You can just give a dimension for ease. Again, 55. Start a new line from this point to this line, from this point to this line, and make these lines tangent to this curve, this circle. Make the trim. Go to the side. I do not need these curves. I only need these arcs. I will make a pathway from this one to this one. This one. Okay. Finish this sketch. Also, I need another line. I will show that. I need another pathway. Okay. Finish this sketch. Also, I need another line. I will show that. I need another pathway from this point to the other side, like this. I'll just go back. Again. For that, I will have to just look from the front side and use the XY plane to sketch up. Again, I will use these circle projection points for the start of the arc. Please do not forget to convert these lines because I need only one curve at this point. For this arc piece, I need a center line because it is not at this point, but the center of this arc is on this line. And I will just make a circle at this, somewhere here at this, on this line and make that line passing through this point or this point. I will make it coincident, this curve to this point, and give the dimension, which is the radius, let's say 42. And I do not need these portions of just. As you see, we just made the paths through these two sections, but we need also another section, the profile here. This is the first profile. We need another profile between these two circles. For that, I'm just going to start a new sketch, and I would like to have that profile on it. Okay. Here, what I'm going to do is I will just create a with F7 tool. I would like to only see this portion here. Start a line from the origin point and convert it to construction because I need a point at this. Here, my circle, let's say this one, my circle seems to be on this line, but it is not true because it is the 55 millimeter and the dimension is not true at this point. For this reason, I would like to make something. I will just create a circle, again a circle, or an arc shape, or a circle, passing from this point or this point. Okay, or this point. These are all symmetric around this one. For this reason, I would like to have, if I have a 55 millimeter, then I will just create a circle here with 55 millimeter in size. I'm just going to make a circle pass from these three lines, these three pathways. Start a new circle again on the origin, and I would like to I will change this profile length, this profile dimension afterwards. I'm going to make a projection and get the far end point of this projection and make this curve or this circle on this point, as you see. The next thing, what I'm going to do is, as you see, we have a difference between this line and the other line here. For this one, I will just make the projection. As you see, this projection is a little bit less than this one. Finish my sketch. I'm sorry. I'll take the projection back. For this, I need this pathway must pass between all three sections. This is section 1, section 2, and section 3. And this path is not passed through this section. For this, I will just make this curve here. Make to remember this child-parent relationship. This is the parent, this is the child feature sketch. I will just make this sketch, delete this dimension, feature sketch. I will just make this sketch, delete this dimension, have this curve projection in order to get this point and make this curve coincident on this point. And I will just convert this line projection. Okay. Now we have a barrel shape. If you want, you can do the same thing for the other side, but I will just leave it empty for the top side. Let's have the finish the sketch and have the loft tool. The first section, second section. In this box here, we use for profile sections, the third one. And we will define this time the paths. As you see, we just define the path here. For the other side, again the rail on the other side. We just define to pass this point. Also, from this point, we need to define this path. We just keep the tree path and leave this path empty. If you want, you can also define that path. But there is no dimension specified. There is not too many dimensions specified on that path. Let's finish this one. We create the first sort of body. And this body, on this one, as you see, we have a wall thickness at this point, which is 3 mm. Also, we have another wall thickness point, which is 3 mm. We also have another wall thickness at 3 mm. These are not specified too much, but these are also specified 3 mm. Okay, this time what I'm going to do is I will just use a shell command to make these two ends empty by entering, which is this one, and change the thickness to 3 mm. And also I will leave the other face empty to get a shell feature. I have just made this one empty from the front view, and I will just end in these two ends. I'm just going to create two hexagonal extrusions, which are these. I will just take this back. I'm going to make these extrusions. Let's make this first one on the left side. I have, and we have, let's check also our dimensions, which is again 35. Section end, in order not to draw this circle again. For that, I'm just going to create a new polygon having the 6 edges, 6 sides on this origin point, which is horizontal, vertical, and it is tangent to this. And I will just create a 13 mm. Here, what I have, I'm just going to make this first sketch visible. As you see, we have 40 mm, especially 80 mm body part from this point that we have. As you see, we are at this point, and I will just make two extrusion, one here and one on the other side. Okay, Let's continue. I'm just going to not going to use this one. For this, I will just go into this sketch, double click, make the construction, have this one extruded with 13 millimeters. I can do the same thing on the other side. You can also mirror this feature. Let's do this feature here. We have the body part. Mirror. I select the feature here, which is this extrusion one. Select the mirror plane by using the from the YZ plane, and this is on the other side. This is the one. To show you what I have done so far, I just get the view with half section view and this plane sectional cut here. What I have did is I just create the body outline which you have seen at this point. We have two holes which we are going to make at the final end. Okay. The next thing, I will just create this revolve on the top side and this extrusion in the inside of the body part. I will just create this one. I'm sorry, the revolve side. But for this, I need a sketch at this point, and I'm just going to sketch from the top side by using the geometries here, and I'm going to make that here. Next thing, let's start. For this, I will just make my screens a little bit smaller. Two screens a little bit smaller to get the geometries better. Okay, let me have this like this. Yes. Start a new sketch again on XY plane. I will just combine this feature with the revolve tool, and I will just clean inside of it after the revolve cut feature. Start a new sketch, align for revolve axis, and convert this axis to a center line. Also, what I'm going to do is I will just create a rectangle tool which is representing this point here. I will just create this rectangle and here. By using the rectangle tool, I will just create the first rectangle and the other rectangle here. What I need is, I do not know how many millimeters I should have to go far from here. For this, I need this dimension, which is, I can see here, it is tangent to this line almost, and I will use 10 millimeter first, then 4 millimeter secondly. For this geometries, I'm going to use the created sketches, which I have just loose created on the loft feature. I just get the geometry with this line projection it is at this point here, like I have this projection. I will just close sketch visibility, and I will just define from this point the dimension the line to this point dimension here, which is 10, it is on the top side, plus 4 millimeter, which is this one. Also, I have another dimension, which is 39 at this point. I also define that, which is 39. Also, here I have other dimensions here, but not too much specified. At this point, we can also get that to the revolve here from the other side. I'm just going to leave it as it is empty. You can make a full revolve here. The first, the top side, it is 4 millimeter. The first, the top side, it is 4 millimeter, and the rest is 10 millimeter. And the connection between these two lines here is also seen at this point. You can also have this one by using the other side too. Let's leave it as it's empty. You can, this point, you make this on this line, finish your sketch, have the revolve tool, select two sections and revolve these in this body part. Okay. We only do not have this dimension. We do not have this dimension. We can also get that dimension from the point which we have created. For this, I will just go again to the left side, like this, edit the sketch. As you see, we have just get this one. This is circle here, which is 35, and the line passing through this 35 tangent to this curve. I'm going to make these to construction and make the trim at this point for this one, and I will just get this dimension. This is the tangent one, I'm sorry. We need another line which is 10 millimeter far from this line. It's also parallel to this curve, and we have a distance for 10. Also, we have 10, 45, 35. Okay, let's leave it as it's empty. Not important at this point. We will just define that also. Okay, here we have the body part. Inside the body part, we have some fillets. We will just define these fillets at the back side, at the end of the part. We can just give the fillets at the end of the part. Okay, we have the holes, we have the missing holes at this point, and I'm just going to make that holds with the whole feature. Let's make the inside body part, which is this profile. I'm just going to create that profile. For this, I'm just going to start a new sketch. But before this one, I'm going to make the hole on the top side to keep this sketch simple. And we sometimes get the tools from this line here. I'm just going to make this point engage to center point of the circle. Change the ISO threaded. We have a threaded hole with isometric with size 32 with the threaded length 10 at least 10 millimeter. Also another one which is also this time the line the hole depth with 10 millimeters. So you can also create up to this point. I'm just going to change my figure here. I will use the tool command to and change to my view and select this back surface to make it create a hole with the threaded length to with this distance. Okay. Okay. I think I can use this plane to adjust the revolve dimension. Here I'm going to make this point on this curve. For this I need to get this geometry or to have this project cottage. Yes. I take it back. I commands back again, sketch, project cut edge, make this line on this line and just continue to, yes, we just create 2 lines. Okay, so we do not have any point here. Okay, let's start a new sketch, again XY plane, and this time I will just create this profile by creating a new sketch, which is this profile just comes from this inside and it will just go up to this point with the thickness of 66 millimeters here in the center part. Let's save our part. In the sketch, during the sketch, it just wants me. Again, I'll just save the valve body. I have previously created some files here at this point. For this, I will just overwrite. Save again. This view represents this warning just comes from the half section view because we haven't saved our half section view under the view menu. We will just go to view and section, save this section view with the new, and I will just rename section view. I will just this one. When I just save, it is also saved. Yes. What I'm going to do is I will just continue up to this point with 6 millimeters. From this one, I will just first again continue sketch. I will just create the 19 millimeter here with 30 millimeter, 12 millimeter hole inside, and I will just combine these features together. From the first thing I need to do is I create a line, the center line properties, and I will just create another line for axis purposes. Here I'll change the construction. From this one I will just create the ring first, which its dimensions are: the inside it is 12, the outside it is 19, and we have a symmetric condition. It is, I will just take this back to, we have 3 to 3, I'm sorry, we have 3 to 3 condition at this point. I will just get the symmetric condition, this line and this line, symmetric around this line, and I have 6 millimeter in height. The first thing what I'm going around this is the bushing part which just the fluid passes through. The next thing what I'm going to do is I will just start a new sketch and add these profiles to these. Again, this time I will just go to get the project geometry which is inside this line. Also, I will just get these geometries which are these, the 4 millimeter here. I will just create a new line. I will just create a circle and give this radius dimension 4 millimeters. I will just go back and make this circle first tangent to this line, again tangent to this line, and make this line far from this origin point. I will just create that line also and make this line far from this line with 1.5 millimeters, because it's the wall thickness at this point, it is 3 millimeters. And I will just combine this profile like this. Make the trims. I do not need these parts. Also, I do not need this part as well. This part as well. So I do not need this part. I will just convert this to construction. Also, I do not need this part. Yes. For the offset, I will just select and make the offset of it, which is 3 millimeters. This is the 3 millimeter offset. Okay. I will continue to the other side. I'm just creating the other side properties here. I will just draw on the paint. I have just created this portion, and I'm just going to jump on the other side. I'll take these lines, go to downsides, and I will take the 4 millimeter Again, another fillet here, having the same dimensions probably, which is this one, and this line is tangent to this one, and tangent to this one. And we do not have any dimensional relationship for this. The distance of this one we will keep at this point. As you see, we have a little curvature at this point. For this reason, the first thing that I'm going to do is I will just make the trim operations for from unnecessary portions. I will just keep the outline. Let's forget this one. I'll just keep the project cut edges. I need this portion, this line. I'll make the trim out to this point. The next thing, I will just combine the fillet by using this offset tool. But for this, I do not want the other side offset. For this reason, I'll take the offset command and right click and get rid of this loop select option. Again, I'm again on the offset command. This time I will select this portion and this line, right click, continue. Only I need two sections here. Also, I will just define 3mm offset and also make tangent to this line. It is also what is missing here. I just wonder. Yes. Now, the trim and also the other trim, and I will just keep this point on this line. I would like to make coincident this point on this line. I would like to make coincident this point on this line and keep the tangent relationship between this one and this line. As you see. Also, I would like to extend this. Yes. What I did is I'm just going to close the work planes, origins, to show you the view better in work. Okay, I have just created the profiles. Also, I will just need these sections to be extruded. Okay, let's start with the extrusion. Have the extrude tool, this profile. I need to, this time you can also select them to the next. As you see, it just selects the next surface to be extruded to. To show you in better, I'm going to make the view for 3/4 view. And for this 3/4 view, I need to select XY plane, right click to continue, and YZ plane. Show you better what I'm doing. I will use again the extrusion command to next. I will select this closed profile, this closed loop, to next to this point. For the symmetrical, or to next, it is better. We will just change you can just change the direction also for the other side. We will do this operation for 2 times. We first use this one. Also select the other profile with this one. We will just create this full solids. Also, we will combine the inside. I'm sorry. Yes. Also this side. Also this side. We will remove the inside again, the extrusion cut, revolve cut process. Yes. We just create the wall to prevent the passing flow. To use the extrusion, sketch again, because I do not want to draw that sketch again and again. For extrusion, again, I just need the upper profiles. Yes, this one, it is not fully selected. I will just go and select this face. Oh, yes, it has been already selected. I only just make a cut here. Okay, the next thing, again, I use extrusion. Oh, this is, yes, it is already cut. Yes. This one, I'm not going to cut. I will just join. Change the other side. As you see, it has just changed. Select this profile also. Again, to next. Not to cut. To join. Also select these little profiles for other sections. Again, join operation. I need a join operation at this point. Yes. Again, I will just make this one invisible. We have a wall at this point, and we have only one inlet at this small side. Again, I will just open the sketch visibility at this point, and I will just make with F7 tool. I will just create another rectangle for the cut operation, and I will just make, sorry, I will just get undo, again a rectangle, a big rectangle this time. I will make coincident this line on this point. I'm sorry. This line at this point. This line on this point. I'll just make it empty. It isn't important so much. Have the revolve tool this time. I'm just going to make an operation here. I'll just revolve cut by using this X. We just make an empty at this portion. We just made the part, our body part here. I will just save my part file. Okay, we did the wall side. We did this side. Also, I'm going to just make the holes on each side. I'm going to make this one again bigger. I will just do the metric 20 at this point, at this also metric 20 on the other side. This point, I will just make the X hole features here. I will just save my part file again, go to end section view, and to see that, and again the whole section view. Okay. Half section and XY plane. I will make this work plane in this. As you see, we have the same profile which we have created, which we have seen in the technical drawing. Almost. Here. We have the same profile. The only thing missing here is the hole at these ends and the fillets. Let's make the holes. I have the hole tool. My hole starts on this face. I have a center. Just stretch and make engage till to the center with the left button tool. Threaded one, isometric with 20 millimeter. I will just change my size. With the distance, it is 13 millimeter with thread. 13 with the 13 millimeter in depth. I would not like to go further up to this point. Again 30 to 30 with one. Here we have the hole at this point. I will just close the sketch visibilities, which I have seen here. Like this one. It's a much more simple one. The first sketch, I think it's already open. These points. Like make the other hole on the other side. My hole is on this surface. I will just make and engage. With left button, I will just sweep this one, this point coincident on this. I use the same dimensions which are on the other side. These are the holes. Now we have two fillets, which is 5 millimeters around this neck, also 4 millimeters inside, also 5 millimeters on the other side. Yes, or 8 millimeters. I'm not sure about these features. Here, let's start with the 4 millimeters inside. This is the first fillet on this side. This is the second fillet. I will just show you better like this. What I apply for 5 millimeters for this neck outside, with 8 millimeters, which is wall thickness, added to the 5 millimeters. We have 8. I hope it works. Yes, actually it doesn't work too much. But I will just omit this. You can make, let's zoom it a little bit. Before adding this profile, we can just make that fillet also. I'll just go back, make the fillets for 5 and 8. This is the 5 first, and this is the 8.
side. How it works. Let's check. Yes, it works. Okay. Let's throw this backside. I think we have one error which this fillet is already given at that. We have the fillets at these points, and we will see the other parts, what we can do about this one. Okay, this is the sectional view. This is the master view. In the master view, you can just close the visibilities of the planes. You also only close the visibilities here. You can just lock the visibilities here. As you see, I will just go between the views. Okay. We will continue.